Hey folks, this is Casey and I'm one melon marigold. Let's get our seedlings in. Hey everybody, we have finally got a dry day. It has been a hot minute. I am all for spring rain, but I hate mowing. I hate mowing and I hate pulling the gargantuan weeds that fill up this property. Anyway, we're going to focus on today. We're going to get some of our seedlings in the ground because these babies have needed a home for some time. So I have already on the other side of my property planted some of the herbs, oregano, sage, basil, nasturtiums, of course, they go everywhere. Right now I am going to focus on peppers. And if you see all that green stuff, yeah, that's just weeds. Yeah, so Oliver has got his little frisbee, he's ready. I have got my worm poop, I have got my eggshells, and I have got my Epsom salts. I've got all my tools, and I am just ready to hunker down, pull the weeds, plant the plants. Process is going to be the same for everybody. We have got our eggshell and our Epsom salts. We're going to do a nice sprinkle, work that right into the soil. Then we're going to dig our hole for the plant. We're going to put a little scoop of worm poop at the bottom of that hole, nestle the plant on top, tuck everybody in tight, and off we go. These are jalapenos. I did not plant jalapeno seedlings this year because honestly I had so many last year and I have so many preserved that I didn't really think I would need them. But then of course I'm out plant shopping and I see cutie little jalapeno plants and I just bought them anyway. So whatever. I'll always find something to do with jalapenos. Here we go, done. Now that we have the peppers all done, we're going to do exactly the same thing to transplant our tomatoes. But first and foremost, I got to clean out that old twine and all of those old weeds and get these pots ready for their tomatoes. We have finally gotten the vast majority of the peppers and tomatoes planted. I do have extras at this point. I don't need them, so if someone wants them, I'll give them away. Otherwise, I'm gonna wait till I have everything else planted, and then if I can find other spots in the garden for those, I will. So I'm gonna leave this alone for now, and I'm gonna focus on this area because we got to trim it up, clean it out, and that's where the melons are going to go, and that's what I want to get in the ground next. The melon row cleaned up nice. I actually extended it a little bit. I added another board and a bunch of rocks just to kind of support the boards that are there. Ideally, the melons will continue to sort of grow down this hill. We got them mulched. We have eggshell planted on top to hopefully dissuade any slugs, and we'll just see how they do. These are 3 dud tomato starts. They got a little diseasey of something. They got a little too wrangly. I didn't want them to give anything to my other tomatoes. So instead of just like trashing them in the compost where they're just going to keep growing anyway, I'm going to whip these out into the pasture. And if they end up growing and producing a little wonky fruit out there for the animals to eat out there, I am happy to give that a go. Anyway, here we go. Gotta go. I'll chuck one out here. Oh, happy to share food with the animals. Next, let's plant some pie pumpkins. I am using old plastic pools that the previous owner, old Cheryl, had left behind in the barn. I use a drill to create drainage holes on the bottom, and then I fill it up with organic soil. Pumpkins are really pretty hardy. They've got good strong roots, pretty resilient, and in this particular area of the yard, their vines can go wherever. And I can also move the pools around yet while they're still small if I need to. I loosely make holes with my hand. I gently give the root ball a little squeeze and then I just pop them in, cover them up, and there we go. Pretty easy peasy. You might want to sort of guide the vines so that they trail towards the outside rather than in, but that's no big deal. Cover it up with mulch and you are good to go. And I hop on over and I follow the same process with my blue pumpkins. I was not intending to grow blue pumpkins, but I bought some seeds for my mom who loves growing pumpkins. And then I got a little jealous that I didn't get some for me too. So that's what I did. I just ordered more. So maybe now my mom and I can compare blue pumpkins. Okay, that's it. Let's move on to leeks. Let's get those leeks in the ground. Planting leeks. I really enjoy the flavor. I honestly love every allium variety I have tried, but I'm not necessarily looking for a ton of leeks. I'm one person, and up until now I've only made potato leek soup, and while that's very good, I'm sure it's a little cliche at this point. So anyway, we're going to plant a few and see how it goes, and maybe we'll try some more recipes. So you're going to see in the video, I've got a blue bin. I just grabbed one from the farm using my resources, drilled the holes in the bottom, of course, for drainage. You have to have drainage holes. And then I fill it in with really loose organic soil. As I plant the leeks themselves, you're going to see me put my hand in real deep. I try to put it about a hand's length. That's about 6 inches for me. Probably could have done a little bit bigger, but leeks really like to be planted deep. So that's what I'm doing, putting them all in. Boop, boop, boop. The leeks are going to sit right next to the garlic and right adjacent to the potato patch. And so let's see how they do. Right away, let's get our eggplant seedlings transplanted. We're going to put them right next to the leeks. Eggplant is a nightshade, so I think it's going to do well by the potatoes as well. Big, huge thanks to Kim for these lovely 7-gallon fabric pots. They are amazing. What a lovely big size. And thank you so much to Firefly Nanny for all of the seeds. These are the eggplant seeds that you sent. So appreciate all of your support. You'll notice I am having a bit of a moment separating these first 2 seedlings. So I'm going to come back to them and show you how I handle that. So coming back to separate those tangled roots, grab yourself a cup of water, doesn't matter, cup, jar, bowl, doesn't matter, just grab yourself some water and gently start dipping the roots in and out, pulling ever so slightly each time, and they'll eventually just glide away from each other with the water. By using the water, you're being a lot more gentle on the roots that are there, causing less stress and breakage. And then you can just dump the water right over your seedlings and everybody's happy. Now, since we're right next to the potatoes, that's where we are going next. Let's take care of this potato patch, potato. All that matters is we got to get her cleaned up. My potato patch is looking crazy. Weeds, grass, everything has grown up like gangbusters, and I really need to figure out how to keep the pests out. So, back it up, let's back it up. If you caught my videos last year, I decided to grow potatoes using the root stout method. I have a ton of hay on this property, and I really like the idea of not having to dig potatoes out of the soil. So I did a lot of learning. I used my YouTube University like we do, figured out how to grow the root stout method, had great growth, had a really strong start. But last year was also super duper chaotic here on the farm with me getting settled and so much that had to be fixed and addressed. I did not account for pests. I just didn't. I didn't know yet what I would find on my farm, what was going to be prevalent, so I didn't. So we're going to do it again, root stout method, but I'm going to try to put some pest prevention in place. So to get us started though, we got to get everything cleaned up. I start by raking the hay to the side so that I can get the hoe in to break up all the grass and weeds and stuff that kind of grew up in between. I had put down row cover, but I didn't really get around to maintaining it. And I think you all know how much good row cover really does. After a while, it just gets torn apart and grass grows through anyway, and here you go. So it is a mess. So pull all the hay to the side, dig out the weeds on the side where the potatoes are actually going to go, and then I spend a few hours really trying to pull out the old row cover, separating it from the grass that's there. Ugh. This was gross and this was messy, but it's necessary and it's going to clean up so great. Okay, so now on to fencing. In a perfect world, if I had the money and the resources, I would have bought several rolls of metal hardware cloth. Because that has a really tiny gauge and that would have kept mouse and voles out. I don't have the resources to buy a whole bunch more of that, at least enough to go around the fence. Maybe next year I will, we shall see. But what I do have an abundance of is chicken wire. So we're going to use that. It's not necessarily going to keep the mice and the voles out, but it will keep the porcupine out and it should keep rabbits out and of course my own wiener dogs. Installing the fence actually was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I got my little manual edger out and I started working a straight line around the existing T-posts that I had set up around the patch. Then I brought the chicken wire roll over and section by section, I used that same edger to push the edge of the chicken wire down into that groove I just made. So we're actually burying the chicken wire a little bit. Again, is this going to prevent a ton? No, because the holes are big enough that certain mice and voles can come through. But it does definitely keep the fence more secure. And I just like knowing that we went the extra mile a little bit. So section by section, I dig the trench, I roll out the chicken wire, I nestle it with the edger into that groove, nice and deep, probably 3 inches or so. I use zip ties to attach it to the T-posts. And then I walk around and I just mush with my feet. I mush that loose soil back in against the fence to kind of keep it buried. And we do this all the way around. The chicken wire is low enough that I can step over it, but my dogs can't. That's always a good thing. Now, to deal with the critters, I actually have one more idea because honestly, it was the mice and the voles that really did the most damage to my crops. The porcupine got one row, the mice and the voles got the other 2. So what I do have is a little bit of leftover hardware cloth, and voles can come up from the bottom when they're feeding. And so my idea was, if I'm not planting the potatoes in the ground and they're just growing upwards per se from wherever I place them, why not put some of that hardware cloth underneath the potatoes so that if a critter tries to climb up and get at it from the bottom, they've got a little bit of deterrent there. So that's exactly what I did. I took what remaining hardware cloth I had left, I clipped it into strips, and I'm gonna lay those down on the ground and put the seed potato on top. Will it make a difference? I don't know. It's an experiment. It's what I got. We're trying it. Don't be afraid to just try random things in your garden. Like, just do it. You don't got to be perfect. So I lay out the metal, I put the potatoes down, and then before I put the hay back, I am also taking onion sets and I am planting the onion sets all the way around the perimeter. Mice and voles do not like the scent of alliums. Onions are really strong. So this is an idea I got from the YouTube University. And here she is. She's all done. It looks cleaned up. It looks great. I've got new row cover down. I've got an abundance of mulch. So I covered the row cover with wood mulch. Everybody is tucked in, and fingers crossed we get a lot of potatoes in the fall. In addition to getting all those seedlings planted, I am going to be planting parsnip seeds this year. Yeah! I've grown them in the past. They can be kind of a little fussy sometimes, but I think we're going to be just fine. Let me show you where I'm going to plant them. So this is the same bin that we just pulled radishes from. In addition, it's the same bed that I have been using for my carrots for ages. Now this year I'm going to be growing my carrots over by where my peas are in the larger raised bed. So this is going to be the parsnip bed. And I do need to amend the soil a little bit. Levels have fallen. I haven't really amended it in a couple of years, so it's time. One of the cool things that I learned is that if you are doing crop rotation, parsnips would actually like to grow in the same soil that tomatoes grow in. And so since I amend soil, I don't necessarily rotate crops a ton. I decided that this year I am going to try amending the soil with soil that came from a pot that tomatoes were grown in. And let's see if that sort of has the same effect. Like carrots, they like a nice sandy, light, loamy soil. So I'm also going to just amend with a little bit of additional sand as well. But not least, let us get this corn planted. I love growing sweet corn. Last year I planted it a little late, but I still got a bunch of ears, so no harm, no foul. I also realized last year that the area I put the bed in was a little bit too shaded, or shadier than I thought it would be. This year we've since taken out a ton of trash trees, and so I think it's a lot more open, so hopefully we have better luck. Over the fall and winter, I did mulch with leaves from the trees from my front yard. I didn't till the leaves, probably as much as I should have, but that's okay. I'm just not one to worry about that kind of thing. First of all, we're going to go around the perimeter. We're going to pull out the weeds. We're going to get up any of those long grasses and weeds that have come up in the spring. And then we're going to start with our soil amendment. So Epsom salts and eggshells are going to go in, and we're going to lightly till those into the soil. I'm going to leave most of the leaf mulch. I'm going to take it out where it seems too deep. Rather than coming back with just straw to mulch with, I'm going to furrow out 4 rows, and I'm going to sort of leave the leaf mulch in between. Once I'm done tilling, it's time to plant the kernels. I am not overly worried about planting the corn kernels too deep. I'm going to come back in, since I have furrowed out a row, I'm going to come back in with my hoe and kind of cover them back up with leaves and dirt after. So you're not going to see me bending way down into the ground to kneel to put the corn kernel in. That might end up being a total mistake, but it's just what I'm doing today. You get to do whatever you want in the garden, folks. Do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Try it a new way. It doesn't matter. Also, I'm in the middle of nowhere. There are so many farmers that are going to have sweet corn for sale at their little farm stands. Like, I really don't need to grow my own if I don't want to. I just really like to try it. So, of course, once we got those kernels in, I'm going to come back with the hoe and I'm going to pat down the soil on top of them. They are getting a huge watering in from rain coming in tonight, so I'm not going to worry about doing that manually, but I think we're going to be all set to go. That was so much work. planting this year was fun because we're so much further ahead than we were last year. It really is a joy. But not fun because we had so much rain this spring, so much rain that it really just ended up getting hard to get out to work with the soil, especially with everything being so wet and dirt being so wet. Sometimes that's just not the greatest time to plant. Anyway, the heavy hitters are in. Now, is that it? No, of course it's not, because I can't stop putting seeds in dirt. Since I filmed all of that, I have started a couple more pepper plants that I bought from a good friend. I have a whole discard pile over on my patio table. I got a whole bunch of flowers that I started that are just like dying out in their little tray. This is life. This is what happens. I challenge you to find a gardener who doesn't have a discard pile somewhere. Will I get to them? Yeah, probably. I got marigolds over there. I got sunflowers over there. They just got to go in the ground. I got some coleus. I got some lobelia for the rain garden that, you know, I thought I would have gotten to by now, but I just haven't because it's been a lot of rain. Anyway. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you find this fun. I hope you find it a little entertaining. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. It helps me out so much. If you have already subscribed, thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I love you so much. I'm going to talk to you real soon, okay? Bye.